Big fish energy. It's one of those phrases that sounds funny on the surface, but underneath it's describing a real social signal. This statement is usually said something like this: you are a big fish in a small pond. And all that's saying is that your energy, your calling, and your enterprise are bigger than your environment. But real talk though, being a big fish is a title that many earn and do not strive for. These are the people who end up in the spotlight but hate the attention. These are the people who would rather be having fun but are always put in charge. These are the people that are centered in the midst of chaos, so that even when they're wrong, you think they're right. Have you ever met anybody like that? I think Jesus was a little like that, and we're going to look into that today. Welcome to the Esoteric Jesus Podcast. I'm a master of social work and the oldest child of a Southern Baptist minister. This is a grown folks faith channel, and this is not the spiritual milk you were given to drink in Sunday school. But for those of you who are ready to digest spiritual meat, welcome. I hope you stay for supper. I'm your host, Amanda Catherine, but you can call me AK. Now, you've probably met someone with the big fish energy throughout the course of your life, but maybe you did not have words to describe what you were experiencing. The big fish energy is associated with an archetype who can self-regulate emotions and thoughts. The big fish is the one with high social awareness and a self-made persona. The big fish moves like he already built a beachfront Hilton, but in reality, he's still just standing in the middle of his lumber yard. This character is not easily shaken. They read the room before anyone else, and they do not need external validation to pursue their purpose. These are your leaders, the people we follow, and sometimes we don't even know why. Because by every worldly standard, they are unqualified. But when it comes to their energy, they are more than accomplished. I think that Jesus had to swim in little ponds his whole life. And Jesus was a man of big fish energy. Being the big fish does not always signify the most powerful, the smartest, or the highest status person. Sometimes it's just someone who has stopped negotiating their self-worth. Someone who isn't trying to shrink or inflate themselves. And that's power. So what makes Jesus have big fish energy? It's that most people aren't lacking power. What they lack is psychological integration. They are divided against themselves. But big fish energy is what happens when your voice, your presence, your decisions, and your actions all align. Because half measures avail us nothing. And Jesus shows us this clearly. When he is in the Garden of Gethsemane, he does not pretend that moment is easy. He says, "Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." Matthew 26:39. That's big fish energy. It's not the absence of fear, but it's alignment in the presence of it. Jesus accepts the cup he has been given, and he does not fragment under pressure. He chooses coherence over comfort. And then he teaches it plainly. Let your yes be yes, and your no be no. Matthew 5:37. In other words, stop dividing yourself. Stop saying one thing, feeling another, and doing something else. Because a divided person is unstable. As it is written, a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. James 1:8. But Jesus, he's not divided. What he speaks, he lives. What he knows, he embodies. And what he is called to do, he accomplishes. And he does it even when it costs him everything. Not because he's trying to control the outcome, but because he's aligned with the author. And Jesus says, "I do nothing on my own. but speak just what the Father has taught me. John 8:28. This is not an ego-based performance. This is alignment with calling in time. So when we say Jesus had big fish energy, what we're really saying is that he was fully integrated, fully present, fully obedient to the role he had been given. In the archetype of Jesus, big fish energy becomes peace with being cast, the courage to play the role, and trusting that that story has a source. There is a power in being whole in a divided world. Thank you for joining me today. I got one last question for you. Who hung the stars and keeps us out of bars? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not to temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Keep coming back. It works if you work it.